Hello, and welcome back to the Volume Vegan Cooking Channel. I hope you're having a great day. Today we are making a great, quick, low-calorie, low-carb, gluten-free, and completely plant-based meal that you can fill your belly with while feeling great about it. Your mouth isn't going to do any complaining either. We make a lot of bowls in this house. I put quotes around that. One of the staples of vegan cooking is the Buddha bowl. Basically taking a grain, a protein, and whatever veggies you have lying around, adding all of those things to a bowl together, and then topping that bowl with a delicious sauce, herbs, things like that. We eat a lot of bowls around here. I don't use a lot of grains, however, and I prefer to fill my bowl with green carbs over grain carbs. I am creating a weeknight stir fry here with cabbage as our base instead of noodles or rice. Follow along with my ingredients or get creative with what veggies you have in your fridge that you need to use up before they go bad. I don't have some of these ideas to use in mind today, but use up your mushrooms, some snap peas, baby corn, bean sprouts. Anything that you can imagine going into a stir fry, throw it in if you need to use it up. They would all be great to add in. All right, get your veggies prepped and let's get started. All right, here I have two relatively small heads of cabbage. I got two because they're relatively small. I would just recommend using a medium because shredding this up is going to go a long way. I just want to have plenty to have more than 2 weeknight dinners out of this. And I'm going to start making the sauce. So I can just set that to the side, starting with a 1/2 cup of vegetable broth. And to that, I'm going to add a tablespoon of liquid aminos. That's you guys know I use this soy sauce substitute because I'm gluten-free. You can also use coconut aminos or a tamari to keep it gluten-free. And to that, I'm adding 1/2 teaspoon of my zero sugar, keto-friendly maple syrup. And from there, I'm adding in a tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. I'm going to add in a teaspoon of sesame oil. And while that is happening, and you guys, I'm going to just end up putting my how to prepare some fried tofu video separately so that I can always just link it back because I'm pretty overall, unless I think the recipe needs it, I don't do a lot to season tofu because there's so much seasoning in other places in my recipe. I usually do it very similarly. Here, I'm doing the exact same thing I have done in other recipes. I've pressed my extra firm tofu and I have cubed it badly, as I do. And now I've heated up a teaspoon of grapeseed oil. Always use something that's kind of high heat when you're doing a fry or a saute. I do anyway. I don't measure my temperature when I'm frying. I'm just not that kind of cook. So some oils don't do well with being heated up very high, including olive oil. So I like to use grapeseed oil or avocado oil or peanut oil to do most of this in. So I'm using grapeseed oil here. It's very neutral, very light. And I'm just going to season this with salt and pepper. Leave them alone for the most part, but let them get browned on the side. Flip them with a metal spatula so you can really get up under there and get the crust instead of leaving it behind on the pan. And I usually brown 3 to 4 sides of my tofu. I don't go around the entire cube because that's meticulous and it takes a long time and I'm just not that person. So as long as it's mostly crispy, I'm good to go. All right, I do not have a wok. I used to have a stovetop wok, and when it's kind of a long story that I'm just going to throw in here right now, but when I was a teenager, my mom wasn't I mean, she didn't want to like try to force veggies on us when we were kids. So we didn't eat a lot of veggies when I was a kid. And when my mother was gifted an electric wok one year, I believe for her birthday or Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, something like that, it came with a book of recipes. And through the recipes, she started making, sort of Chinese food inspired dishes. And that was what got us eating more vegetables. And so that's kind of a fond memory for me. She would make, her favorites were beef with broccoli and mugu gai pan. And they were both great. They were both really, really, really good. And so I had a stovetop wok some years ago, but I've been moving around a little bit. I've always kind of moved around a little bit. And sometimes my space is smaller than other times. And I know that my mother needed a wok, and I had a wok. And I didn't feel like I had the space for the wok, and I didn't think I needed the wok. Now I feel like I wish I had one, maybe one that's a little bit smaller than the one that I had. But that being said, I don't have one. I do, however, want to make volume foods, and so that has me reaching for this pot, which I would not. I'm semi-embarrassed about using it for a recipe like this, but it's thin, it gets very hot, it's not going to, it doesn't have that non-stick surface, and it doesn't have, the sloped surface that you're going to be able to use to make sure that you're getting everything cooked very evenly. You kind of toss it around easier. I honestly am not that much of a stir fryer, but in this case, that's what I'm doing. The best that I can in this pot. I've added coconut oil to this pot. Just about not maybe up to two tablespoons of coconut oil, because I've got a lot of cabbage that I'm going to run through this stuff, and I want that great coconut flavor to come through the entire dish. So I've added in my coconut oil, got it hot. It's so delicious smelling at this point, and added in some strips of fresh green bell pepper. And I'm going to just put a little salt on those, and because I'm in a little bit of a rush, I'm going to put my lid on for just a few minutes to break down the moisture quicker, because I need to eat. Now, once those are broken down just a little bit, I'm adding in some frozen broccoli. If I could go back, I would not have used frozen broccoli here. It's not bad. It's not that. I just, frozen broccoli has lost its crispness for the most part. And there's, a certain amount of moisture from being thawed out that is retained. So if I had more time with these frozen broccoli, I would have roasted them a little bit just in the oven to get as much moisture out as I could have, drying them out just a little before adding them into this mix. So that's what I would recommend that you do, or use fresh, so that you can get it in that oil, and as it's sitting in the pan, when it has its turn on the bottom, it ends up getting a little bit of, a sear in that coconut oil. And there's just something about sauteing fresh broccoli. It gets that bright green color to it, and you just know that it's going to be really crisp and delicious. And so that's what I wish would have happened here. This is the adventures of home cooking now, so that's what we're doing. We make mistakes as we go, or choices. Next, I have a bag of shredded matchstick carrots in my fridge, and I'm going to add those in to my stir fry so that they can get going. I didn't have to put them in very early because they're so small, and I want them to retain a bite. I don't want them to get lost in it. So yeah, add them in there. Just adding a little bit of black pepper to the mix as I mix all of my veggies together. Make sure that the moisture from the bottom, which is the oil, and of course, whatever moisture hasn't been cooked out of the veggies, kind of helps the oil disperse around the entire pan of food. I just noticed that I didn't put garlic in or ginger. This is madness. So here I am showing that I'm not a professional chef on the YouTube. So what I did was, my tofu is mostly done. I've just kind of moved it off to the side of my pan and sauteed 3 to 4 cloves of minced garlic and about a tablespoon of minced ginger paste that I had. I'm literally just going to kind of stir them together in some oil, get them heated up, get them flavorful, and then I'm going to transfer that over to the pot with all of my veggies in it, and I'm going to mix it up in there really good and make sure that it gets all up in there before I go on to the next step. Now, once your veggies have all stir-fried and they've cooked down and they've reduced in size, and you can tell that they've all been graced by the coconut oil and everything is flavorful and everything is meshed, you've put in your garlic and your ginger and everything's going great, you're going to start adding in your shredded cabbage. As you can see, I've just filled it up completely. I have a lot more to go that's probably not going to make it in today because I'm using this sized pot and it's just not going to cook down that much. But I am going to just basically fill my pot up because volume is what I'm after. And I am going to put on the lid again and just let the heat from inside of this thing start making the cabbage wilt down a little bit. And as time goes by, I'm going to keep stirring it into the veggie mix, into the oil, making sure that it can make its way to the bottom part of the pan and work it into the stir fry so that it's all glistening with coconut oil, infused with everything else. You're going to go ahead and put that sauce mixture that I've already shown you into the pot. Keep moving this mixture around in the sauce. It's not going to soak up completely, absolutely not, but it's going to cook into your veggies, and it's completely fine if at the end you have some at the bottom. I find that it absorbs a little bit more after it's staying, in the fridge overnight. I ended up eating it pretty soon after adding the sauce because I had to get back to work. It was still delicious. It really seasoned up all of the veggies, even if they were a little bit more crunchy than I maybe would have wanted them to be. And I added in that tofu to the top, just more as a an addition, like a little crouton to the meal than the star of the show. I hope that you try this meal. I hope that you enjoy it. If you do, give me a comment down below, like and share it. It's a really good way to just get full of veggies on a weeknight. It doesn't take that long. Maybe the cabbage cooking down takes a little bit longer than everything else, but plan your night right and you can have this thing done in under an hour and plenty of leftovers to go around. Buy enough ingredients to feed your household a few times, I suppose. Thank you so much again for, watching another one of my recipe videos. If you've enjoyed it, if you think that you're going to make it, or if you have made it, if you've made some variations to it, let me know in the comments. I love to hear those. Please, while you're here, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss any of my new recipe drops. So yeah, thank you so much again. I hope you have a great week. And as always, take care. Bye-bye.